I recently saw an article. It was wrongfully imprisoned Maryland man who spent 32 years behind bars sues former authorities. Well, I looked into it because, well, I covered these kinds of stories once in a while. And it's like, this dude's been out of jail since like 2013. Didn't get a full pardon until 2023. He Everything keeps saying he had been tried twice. Okay, but then I found out that no, he'd also been tried another time and he got pleaded an Alford plea, which is he's not saying that he's guilty. He's saying that, hey, they've got enough evidence to convict him. Why? Because he was convicted. They kept making fake evidence and not giving real evidence to his lawyers. Well, the folks that convicted him, all but one detective, are all passed away. Old age, very old age, because his case started in the early 80s. And an ADA is still alive, but not the primary DA that was in charge. But he's still suing, and it's like, they kept pursuing him, so why shouldn't he? He's been pardoned. He's gotten $2.9 million for his time in prison. He didn't get to have a family like he wanted. From the looks of it, he was a 20-something-year-old kid that got involved with the wrong people, and they decided to back it or to claim that he was somewhere, and it just got messy, and he ended up going to prison. First conviction, he was headed to the gas chamber. Second conviction was just for life. And third, I don't know what the heck that, I don't know. But we're going to get into this a little bit here because this shows you how busted our court system is, that that they allow prosecutors to keep going after the wrong person time after time, even though it keeps getting found out that, well, you have to produce fake evidence to be able to say that they are guilty. Whatever. If you're fed up like I am with this kind of broken justice system, hit like and subscribe. I cover these kinds of things on occasion. And let's get into this. Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself. Okay, this man's name is John Huffington. He spent 32 years in the Maryland prison system, including 10 years on death row. Maintaining his innocence, he ultimately secured his release from prison in 2013 through a writ of actual innocence. The diligence of the law firm Ropes and Gray and investigative journalism of the Washington Post uncovered key evidence proven through DNA testing to have been unreliable. The case's prosecutor has since been disbarred for withholding exculpatory evidence. So that's the basics of it. Um, Let me talk about this Alford plea. Alford plea? Alford plea. ALFORD. Man who's been convicted twice of two drug-related homicides in Hartford County is free after more than 30 years in prison and multiple appeals, and his case may not be heard in court again. John Norman Huffington, 55, entered an Alford plea in Frederick County Circuit Court on Thursday in connection to two homicides from 1981 in Hartford County, according to reports. An offered plea is not an admission of guilt, but is an acknowledgement prosecutors have sufficient evidence to him. The plea is related to the homicides of Diana Becker and Joseph Hudson, were taken out on May 25th, 1981, in what prosecutors argued was a cocaine deal gone bad. Court filings in the case obtained by Capital News Service indicated that Huffington and another man purchased cocaine from Hudson and then took him to a farmhouse near Wheel Road, where they said there was another buyer. They shot Hudson. Yeah, okay. Next, Huffington and his accomplice allegedly went to his mobile home near Abington, stabbed the victim's girlfriend, Becker, before taking her cocaine while her 4-year-old was asleep in the next room. Uh, Yada, yada, yada. Because of the vacated conviction, Huffington was set to have a third trial in the case, which led to the hearing for the offered plea on Thursday. Much of the court case hinged on the testimony of Dino Canaris, who was paroled in 2008 for the murders, and it was said to have been in the drug scheme with Huffington, the Washington Post reported. Huffington maintained his innocence and said that although he had been with Canaris and the victims earlier, he went to bed, and a fingerprint on the vodka bottle in the Becker trailer was from a prior visit to the mobile home, according to the Post, which reported Huffington racked up more than $1 million in legal fees over the years contesting his case. Upon news of the offered plea, one of the victim's relatives took issue with the fact that Huffington was not taking responsibility for the deaths, according to Frederick News Post. Well, this turned into an actual that was written in 2017. I was reading to you from patch.com, November 10th, 2017. Well, now he's suing because in 2023 former Governor Hogan of Maryland pardoned him, did a full pardon. And Huffington is also suing the assistant state's attorneys on his case, Gerard Coleman, Harford County government, and the county sheriff's office detectives, David Sandeman, William Van Horn, and Wesley Pitcher. All but Sandeman are now dead, according to the lawsuit. And he probably would have gone after Joe Casilli, who was the DA, but he's since passed away. 1981. I was born in 75. I am 50 years old. And it is interesting that, some of these folks are still, alive and kicking. But here's the part about all this. I was wondering, why would you keep going after it? But from the looks of it, they kept going after him. He kept getting proven innocent, or at least, they had no real evidence and they had to produce evidence. So it's that way. And by the way, in case you're wondering, John Huffington was pardoned by then Governor Larry Hogan in January 2023. Hogan cited prosecutorial misconduct in granting a full innocence pardon to Huffington in connection to the 81 double slaying. Maryland board approved $2.9 million compensation. They disbarred Casella. No joke. They disbarred Casella for this. And they discredited something about a hair found at the scene. There was a report that should have gone to the defense attorney. They didn't. I mean, they said Maryland's highest court unanimously voted to disbar Caselli in 2021. found that he withheld exculpatory evidence in 1981 double murder and lied about the following years. This is what this man went through since 1981. This is what this man's gone through. And that's probably why he's suing at this point. And it's sad that this is what's going on. So you tell me, would you do this? I mean, you're talking about the victims' families kept blaming him for things. Well, it turned out that it was the prosecutor that was making this keep going on. Yeah, the dude testified, but I'm beginning to wonder what was going on with that testimony because they couldn't find any evidence, but hey, there was one dude testifying. But he got out in 2008. He also had something to do with what happened, and so they must have given him a pretty good deal, so that must be why he testified. But you tell me what you think. Would you, something that happened in 1981, it is 2025. Would you be suing somebody at this late date? I mean, I can understand why he is, and I probably would, but would you do that? This is a wild story, and it shows that we have a broken justice system. We do. Yeah, there are some people that go to jail that deserve it. There's most everybody deserves it, but you have so many that end up in prison that don't deserve it, and we're only talking, and the only ones we ever get to hear about are people like Huffington, who went in there that could have been in there for his entire life, because there are people that go to prison or jail that didn't do the minor crimes, anything less than taking somebody out or uh, doing something of an intimate nature to somebody non-consensually. I consider kind of, even though property crime is pretty major in a lot of cases, but somebody's accused of stealing certain things, whatnot. These people go to prison, but it makes you wonder how many of those are innocent because you hear cases of this and you see how often that it's proven. And I know some people go, "Oh, there's not that many that are." Yeah, there actually are. And in all honesty, there should be a lot. There should not be the amount of people that you can look up that have been found innocent that have been railroaded. There's a reason we've got due process, and the court system should work. That's my thoughts on it. I'll let you think about it. Most people will probably disagree with me, but I'll argue this point. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.